Welcome to the Meg and Amy Show. We are doing a quick update on our vibe coding adventures. All right, Meg. So last we talked, you were about to create an open brain, which meant bringing all of your memory and instructions and everything into one location so that it could be the one place to rule them all. And you were moving from ChatGPT to Claude. So want to give us an update on how that's all going?
Yes, very mixed, very mixed. I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue for sure. So it turns out that managed to pick the week that a lot of people are experiencing putting you in a timeout hold. You get told you're at threshold and you're not allowed to play anymore. This is informing my overall experience. So I've made some big strides. First off, obviously signing up, getting all the bits and bobs set up properly. I started out and migrated a few of the tools that I used in ChatGPT over to Claude. It was really interesting to observe the differences in how they work. I had been spending my time in only one model, and so that was instructive. As it relates to the open brain thing, I've actually gotten a lot done, but it has been enormously frustrating because I'm at that phase where you have a lot of things and yet nothing really that is net useful. So I have created the schema. I've created the agents that load a few different data sources into the schema. I tried to tackle some of the harder ones, which is probably part of the challenges that I've had. I've built some syncing agents to make this happen automatically. Most of the data is indexed so that it can bring more clarity to what's in there. So I don't have to do a lot of weird search, which is a big part of the thing. But I'm now at the stage where every time I try to finish those data loads and get that historical data in or do that indexing, it just keeps crapping out. I'm now on hold for 3 more days. I'm halfway between here and there, and I've learned a lot about how it works, and I think that has been valuable. I've navigated some setup things that I realized were unnecessarily confusing and arduous. I have confused Claude on a few occasions in hilarious ways and had it say, "Oh, right, I screwed that up," which, is kind of satisfying. I've recognized there is, a lot of how Claude decides to do things is kind of the brute force way. And so you really have to tell it, no, I think I would like this to be reusable as opposed to completely bubblegum and baling wire. So it makes me a little nervous to what's all underneath there, especially as I realize it's overusing memory in some way. It has given me a lot more pause in thinking about the security challenges because you do find yourself just YOLO-ing the shit out of things. Like, oh, it wants access to that. Sure, have that too. At the same time, I have stopped every other automation on no, I do not want you updating my calendar. And I was like, coworker, go ahead. What could go wrong? It does take you down a slippery slope in a very interesting way. So anyway, I know I'm not quite at your level, Amy. Tell me what it's like being
Well,
an
no,
advanced.
I haven't open brained yet, though I did tackle my memory files, but it's still not great because there's one memory for Claude Cowork, there's one memory for Cloud Chat, for projects, you know what I mean? So I do think that once you get open brain figured out, that I probably need to sort that out as well. I did have a couple of interesting occurrences that I thought I would share. In the effort to manage my token consumption, I am using both Opus and Sonnet models. So Opus is the big, fancy token heavy using model. And then Sonnet it has been around a while. It's lighter weight. So I kind of think of Opus as my head of development and Sonnet is like my intern. And so I can use Sonnet for little fixes that are very clear cut. I use it for podcast stuff, but certainly any of the big thinking architectural stuff, really complex bugs, I'm going to use Opus. Well, I accidentally brought a pretty complex issue to my intern and it did not go well. So I've labeled them a little bit better, and, I went to my head of development to rectify the situation, and so that's all good. The other thing, so Anthropic recently introduced a bunch of things that allow you to get further into your laptop. There's a Chrome extension now.
That's what's been used heavily in my open brain.
I decided I wanted an agent that would go into LinkedIn and identify posts where I should comment. I said, "Hey, use the Chrome extension and do this," and then it came back with just absolute crap. It was like posts from months ago, like it was just nonsense. And so I said, "What is this? This is useless." And they're like, "Well, we could use Chrome extension." And I'm like, "Wait a second. I thought that you were using Chrome." But again, this was my intern.
Yeah, I have to be honest, and maybe it's the beta, but I'm feeling like Opus feels very interny to me as well. Yeah, I'm finding myself irritated.
You're in like newer territory than
Yeah.
I was with odd cowork.
That's the thing, when you're new, you just don't have any way to know. Like you kind of suspect this is weird, but there are times where I'm like, this seems like the most janky possible way to go about solving this problem. No, so I had to stop and say, "Okay, look want you to have an easy fallover so when you time out, you don't lose all this work." And that helped a little bit, but like simple things have fallen over way quicker than I thought. And I'm like, I don't want you to be dumber than me at this. I want you to be smarter than me at this.
Odd woes are as bad as my Apple Store woes because it, I am trying to get my app onto the Apple Store. It's taking like 5 days for response. And last time it said you need to add a deletion capability. And so I did that. And then I resubmitted. And then 5 days later, it said, you still need to add the deletion. And then I've had escalating messages saying, please help. Please call me directly. It's hard to say that I have an app and for it not to be on the App Store. So that's a wrap, folks. That's where we're at. Good luck to all of you. We hope you're having just as much fun as we are.
Absolutely. And if you have any cool tips to try, do let us know.
Cool. All right. Well, that's a quick update from the Meg and Amy Show.